Hi everyone, welcome to Third Coast Gaming Radio. It is January 31st, 2021. It's episode 16. I'm joined by my co-host Austin Taylor.
'Tis I.
Yeah, we were looking at these Star Wars toys, Austin. Shadows of the Empire has weird Star Wars toy box art.
Well, I mean,
Don't,
it was
yeah.
it was the 90s, right?
Dash Rendar's ship can flip around like a B-Wing. I can't look at Star Wars toys for too long and be like, I should buy these, but also, what would I do with them?
I didn't even know the B-Wing could do that until, like, Rebels,
Huh.
right? Like, and to me, that just looked like Dave Filoni was trying to make the B-Wing cool.
Return of the Jedi had some good ship battles. As like much as I don't like Return of the Jedi, like half of that movie is pretty fucking cool. The other half of that movie just bums me out.
Yeah, I know. It's a real bummer that they decided to, like, make so much of that movie about Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Really took away from the Ewok village.
Yeah, they really should just made it all Ewoks, no Luke Skywalker,
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
what if Han Solo had become king of the Ewoks? That's
I
all I'm saying.
I mean, he is in my AU.
Yeah, he could teach the Ewoks about alcoholism, which is obviously what he did between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and smoking weed.
I don't know if Han Solo would ever let himself mellow out like that. Definitely
Yeah,
alcohol, but
definitely. He's too high strung for
yeah,
space marijuana.
spice as they call it.
Vices they call it. Speaking of space marijuana, PlayStation Plus games for February were
What?
announced.
What are
You
you
can get
talking?
Destruction All Stars, which someone who is on space marijuana got the art for this. I got an ad for Billy Blanks auditioning for Geico. See the See the guy who did the fitness videos in the 2000s?
I don't
Tybo.
know.
Tybo me. I would play Destruction All Stars if it was on PS4. I'd play for a week and then like uninstall it after that.
Yeah, this would be like a Rocket League situation for me, where I look at it, appreciate that people might like it, and then never touch it.
Yeah, if it was like a game that me and the group of guys were playing once a week, I kind of be into it. I mean, these cars look good. I mean, it's a PS5 game. Kind of looks like could be a PS4 game too, but that's a choice to have it only PS5. I mean, I remember when this was coming out, I was like, oh, that looks cool. Someone will pay full price for that. And then, hey, PS Plus, let's go. That's as a game that doesn't have a lot of hype, that's how you get hype, is it just make it free and people on Twitch will play it, I guess.
Well, yeah.
It's got parkour in it, Austin. It's got parkour.
Is it double jumps?
No, you're just like climbing up ledges and
Yeah,
stuff. It
I'm
could
not
have a
seeing.
double jump. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like
kind of
this
want to play
seems.
this. I kind of want to play this. Damn, not having a PS5.
It seems like it could be fun.
Yeah.
I would like I don't know enough about it to understand like the functions that you can fulfill sort of on foot as opposed to driving, but I would probably be someone who wants to spend more time seeing what he can do like on foot and jumping around this map than like competitive driving.
Yeah, I think it's like a destruction derby.
Yeah.
Maybe some races. Oh man, I just got a whiff of like, okay, did you ever play the Jack and Daxter stuff on PS2?
No.
Because that fourth game is a racing game and like a destruction derby game. Jack X Combat Racing is what we'll call it, Austin. Those games had attitude. You think Nathan Drake from Uncharted is sassy? Wait till you meet Daxter, because Jack doesn't talk at all.
I
Because
mean,
silent protagonists are cool, but he'll stare at you with sass, with attitude.
I can't think of anything more sassy than like cracking jokes as you blow the brains out of someone's skull.
Uh,
So
that too.
that's that's sass to me.
It's true. And then the other two are Concrete Genie and Control Ultimate Edition, which PS4 and PS5 version
Yeah,
going with that. I get Control. I bought Control like 4 months ago on Xbox because it was on sale, and you almost bought it on sale. I remember we were talking about it.
I did. Yeah, I almost bought this Ultimate Edition, when it was on sale like last week for $20 because a part of me just like, you know, like I think Control's like dope, and I haven't played the DLC yet, so this is exciting.
Yeah, and you were what were you talking about the Amazon thing? Did Amazon owe you money?
No, what? Oh yeah, because I was waiting for a refund.
What were you
Like if
refunding,
I got,
Austin?
I was refunding like several like Christmas gifts that did not work out.
Oh, was one of those Cyberpunk, Austin?
No.
Okay, run me down to the Christmas gifts that didn't work out, Austin.
Well, there were two pairs of the same shoe that did not fit the person that I bought them for.
Oh, gotcha,
So that was
gotcha.
about $40.
Ah, shoes. Um, I'd recommend Concrete Genie. I don't remember if we talked about this on one of the episodes, but that game is cool. You paint stuff, and it kind of is like a light Infamous game, except you're not doing combat at all.
I mean,
It's
that's
cool.
already sold me on a more interesting concept than Infamous. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
those
this,
games. Sorry, go for it.
yeah, and this is a like incredibly like expressive looking game.
Yeah,
One
it's
sec.
got some moods in it. I should go back and play more of that. But man, February, good month for PS Plus, man. One of the best games of the PS4 consoles generation, and then Control and Concrete Genie. That was a
That's
joke.
not even, that
Con-
doesn't even make sense.
yeah,
As a joke,
Control's
it
good,
doesn't even
man.
make sense.
People should play Control. So what's coming up? Yo, this GameStop shit keeps fucking happening. It closed on January 29th at fucking $325.
Yeah, so it's little
So for
market talk on with the experts at Third Coast Gaming.
yeah,
Yeah, this has been wild. And it's also been crazy like seeing journalist like every journalist I sort of follow like having to suddenly learn how to parse the stock market.
yeah, that's been interesting. I'll say that basically what was going on is the price started going up. It looks like it was like January 11th or 12th. And to start from the beginning is a bunch of hedge funds, which were like groups of people who have like more money to invest in stocks and stuff, is they were shorting stocks pretty much, is they would borrow stocks and they would sell them to other people at like that $18 price. And then they would set a date like a week from then. And then they would basically buy the stock for lower. Because shorting is the opposite of the stock market, is you sell to someone else so that later on you buy it back from the company to make money off of it pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah.
because they
So
wanted the stock to go down.
yeah, so when you short, you want the stock to go down. There's a brief descriptor in a really good write-up by Kyle Orland on ours that I think is very helpful in like understanding short. But if you want like a very expressive and like very thorough sort of examination on how shorts and hedge funds like this can affect like the economy, there is The Big Short is basically what was about what that movie was about, except that it had to deal with the housing crash of 2008.
Which I'm kind of curious to rewatch that movie because I think I watched it one time and was like, this is boring. But
I watched that
maybe I'll go
movie
back.
and had never like been so angry in my life.
Oh yeah, it's like the first time you watch Wolf of Wall Street or
Yeah,
something.
you know, it's like The first time you like take any sort of course about like how ridiculous the stock market is and how like rigged it really is, it's like, oh wow, I think I hate everything now.
Reminds me of when I watched like that Snowden movie by Oliver Stone for the first time. I was like, oh, the government's always listening. Oh, and if Jerry, my FBI agent who taps my cell phone, you're for listening. What's up? How are the kids? Say hi to your mother for me. But yeah, so basically, after the shorts started happening, the Reddit group of I think it was stock market bets or something.
Wall Street bets, something like
Yeah,
that.
Wall Street bets. They were getting together and be like, "Oh, hey, someone's trying to short the stock. Let's all pump this." So when you pump a stock, you get you and everybody you fucking know to buy the stock to just make it go up. So it basically saw like going from like $30 to like $100 to like 150. So over like here's like 4 days. It was like $75 on the 25th. It was $150 on the 26th. $350 on the 27th, and then it dipped to $190 on the 28th, and then $325 on the 29th, and these are when it was closing, pretty much. So that's fucking wild. It's just been up and down. I think they're trying to get people to... They're freezing it so people can't sell it because I don't think they have enough to cover it. And a bunch of these smaller stock market websites like Robinhood and stuff can't pay it out. It's just wild. I don't know, man. As it turns out, stock market.
Like the thing is hedge funds work with like millions and billions of dollars. So calling something like Robinhood small is a bit much.
Yeah, but like comparatively, like just like Robinhood's been having a hard time like trying to pay them back, and I think it's been crashing the apps. That's just what I was hearing. I don't know too much about Robinhood.
Well, like everyone's been having a like sort of like this is mostly like what the market like what people like in hedge funds are going to tell you is that this is because this amount of activity and like this sort of crazed like raise in stock price is volatile, right? And so that's like been the excuse for stopping trading on like among GameStop stock as well as like AMC stock among multiple
Oh yeah, and
platforms.
BlackBerry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's just been
So
it's been absolutely wild because like I remember like telling some friends about this and the amount of money that I knew was like it was worth like $145 and before I even went to bed that night it was almost 400.
yeah, it's crazy. I remember when it dipped for the first time. I was like, oh, I could buy this GameStop stock for $8. I guess I should have, but you pay bills instead of playing the stock market. It's all gambling in the end.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all gambling and you have absolutely no like way to read like no real way to read sort of trends unless you have like something like a Bloomberg terminal.
Yeah, like the only trends that are like the ones you jump on is like I think my mom got in some, whereas like right before Biden got elected, she grabbed some like super cheap, like below the dollar amount, like energy stocks, and they all went up, like green energy stuff, because Biden's really going in that more. Anyway, Cyberpunk got some mods too. I thought this was funny because it came off of like it was like two back-to-back articles that I saw that was like, oh yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 now has official mod support. 5 hours later, Cyberpunk wants you to know that you shouldn't mod Keanu Reeves sex mods. They don't want you to do that, Austin.
Yeah, so like and the official reasoning they gave was like they don't want you like swapping models with like people who are with characters who are based on real people that exist within Cyberpunk, unless you have like express permission from that person.
Yeah, and I remember that was happening with like Elliot Page from the Beyond Two Souls thing,
Well,
which was also weird.
that was a very different thing. Um,
Yeah, but it was still like they were getting into like the mod like files of that game to get like
yeah,
the character model.
yeah, like a character model that like already existed and like was more detailed than Elliot had agreed to.
Oh, I did not know that part. Yeah,
Is
that's
Yeah, that's why Elliot pursued legal action against Quantic Dream. I don't think anything ever came of it because they were able to sort of get a like on a technicality, they were able to sort of avert giving Elliot a case like that.
but yeah, I was just in the sense of giving like celebrity space and like being like, oh yeah, you probably don't do weird stuff with someone's likeness. That's all I mean.
Yeah, yeah, and like you can imagine that like a lot of like NPCs in Cyberpunk are based like have been were facial captured by like like actors and such. So like they are all based on someone's face, but like when this is expressly like this is just Keanu Reeves, um, I imagine like it's that does open them up to perhaps some legality that they don't want to like they don't want to get dragged into another court case because they're already in the middle of one or they're about to be in one. Um, so they're gonna have to be pretty like vigilant about this type of deal because there are a good amount of like sort of C tier like celebrities, and that's where like I mean like streamers, like famous streamers and YouTube personalities, including like Hideo Kojima, who you can find in Cyberpunk 2077, and they're just gonna have to be like on top of mods that let you like switch player models around.
Yeah, someone turned Kojima into a Ripper dog, as this article is saying. I think I'd want Hideo Kojima to work on my robot mods and tell me about why the future sucks.
I mean, Hideo Kojima playing a Ripper Dog would actually be a lot cooler than like what he does in that game.
All right, or we're past spoilers for that game. What's he doing in that game anyway?
Oh,
Is he just
it's not even that important. Like
yeah?
he like during the heist mission, which is like the mission that gives you the sort of Cyberpunk 2077 title card, right? So it's the end of the prologue. During the heist mission in Arasaka Tower, you can go into like a bar. It's not even Arasaka Tower; it's a hotel. But like you can go to like the hotel bar, and Hideo Kojima is like sitting in a booth, surrounded by like a lot of business people, and he's talking about like how he wants to uh, revolutionize the way the sort of the emotions that people feel when going through a brain dance, which within Cyberpunk is a sort of entertainment medium that you as V use for like detective work mostly.
Which is like a parallel to a video game, you could
Yeah, it's
say.
like a sort of I don't want to say VR because it's kind of like an AR sort of thing where you're it's basically detective like the later like Batman Arkham games detective vision, right? Where you're going into a scene and you're just kind of playing it over.
Yeah, although I'll say Death Stranding probably is playing with newer, like different ideas. I don't know. I haven't beaten that game or played any of it, so I don't know if those are like
I mean, mechanically, like Death
interesting
Stranding's
ideas. But
like I'd
it
say
seems
like mechanically Death Stranding is like interesting, right? Like there aren't many games that want you to consider walking as much as Death Stranding wants you to, aside from like things like QWOP, right? And and that's interesting. It's just like when they talk about like what they were talking about specifically in Cyberpunk was like the like narrative, right? Which is something I don't think Kojima's ever been good at.
yeah. I think it's only when his stuff is like super tongue in cheek. That's why I'm like the most interested in it. Because like Snake Eater, oof, cheesy, cheesy game. Um, what else is on here? Oh, yeah, you had me this Vice article by Lauren Gurley and Patrick Klepek on Vice about Activision is resisting diversity hiring push by America's unions. If you want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, yeah. So the AFL-CIO is a like labor federation, a sort of international labor federation that proposed that companies specifically mentioned in this article were Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts. They wanted them to adopt a sort of a hiring policy I believe the short term for it is a Rooney Rule, which would require that like basically would require that everyone gets an interview, right? Like everyone gets an interview for a position, and that like doesn't it doesn't like kick people out of it, but like does sort of prioritize giving interviews to like minority candidates and like people of color, right? And so like Activision's response was like that they've already taken several like steps to ensure that they get like more diverse they get more diverse hires. Um, and I believe like when responding specifically to this request for the Rooney Rule, it is here we go. The proposal leaves no room for the company's management or board of directors to exercise discretion in how new hire decisions are structured.
Yeah, and I guess their attorney also wrote, while the company has implemented a Rooney Rule policy as envisioned for director and CEO nominees, implementing a policy that would extend such an approach to hiring all decisions amounts to an unworkable encroachment on the company's ability to run its business and compete for talent in a highly competitive, fast-moving market. I don't know, just
Yeah,
like
which is
business talk.
yeah, it's real sort of business talk, like nothing like there's no like significant or like there's no significant like actual like evidence or like statement in that. It's just kind of like we don't want to do that because a lot of what Activision does, like when it sort of lists like new hires, is like they want to get that like filled as quickly as possible, and they want to like reach out to like specific candidates so that way they can like absorb talent very quickly. Is something that they've done in the past, especially in regards to like getting like new directors.
Yeah, so I hope they
It
end
should
up
be
doing a little more with that.
it
They
should be
should do
noted that
more with that.
EA, which is the other company mentioned in this article, was is open to implementing the Rooney Rule like that because it doesn't like this Rooney Rule does not actually like really change much about hiring practices as much as it is just you need to give everyone an interview.
Yeah, which is like, something companies should do.
Yeah, which is like a very basic step in the hiring process. It's especially easy now in the midst of COVID where like you can't meet people IRL, so like you are just going to end up calling a lot of people and you're going to have a lot of like over Zoom or the phone interviews.
Yeah. All right. This other thing was coming up was Microsoft put out a statement saying that their Game Pass subscribers had hit 18 million, which hey, they're still going up there, man. They were saying that Xbox Live has more than 100 million active viewers, so it's about 10 to 11. No, it's actually like 18% of their active users are Game Pass subscribers, which is cool. The Medium came out on Game Pass a couple days ago too. That game looks really sick. It's kind of like a Silent Hill, Resident Evil horror, but without the action, and you're just kind of like solving puzzles and going around this spooky environment and stuff. But hey, it's cool on Game Pass. Still getting cooler. I still wish they'd do something with like Gold and Game Pass, and like if they had a Game Pass Ultimate thing that was like a yearly subscription instead of like, because right now you can get like $45 for 3 months, but I mostly will dip into Game Pass and get it for like a month every 3 or 4 months. So.
Yeah, like a limited amount of time, sort of
Yeah.
stop for a bit. Like I'm probably gonna stop subscribing to Game Pass here in a bit since they raised the like price on PC to from 5 to 10. And I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
like dip out of that for a bit.
and the only thing I was playing on PC Game Pass was Halo. So last time we played it, I ended up just buying Halo, and then I didn't resubscribe back. But yeah, for these services that I don't use month to month, like Crunchyroll, which is an anime service that Sony also bought, but I'll use that 2 or 3 months out of the year, and then I won't have like a monthly subscription for it. But yeah, they have a bunch of cool stuff, man. They put that Destiny expansion on Game Pass too, which is fucking wild. I didn't think they were gonna do that. And that basically makes, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, that game's just free. You can just play all the content that comes out, except for I think the seasonal stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the battle pass you would have to pay for.
Yeah.
But all the seasonal other stuff, like when they do those events, you get access to that, but you don't get the exotics that are in that battle pass.
I still just think that I don't know if we've like seen a very sort of um, like frank report about like how the financial situation of like publishing a game on Game Pass works. Because that's still what I'm interested in. Because like we have like people talk about using Game Pass as a way to introduce people to like games like the Medium, right? Which was not given like that significant a marketing push by its publisher, and like probably wouldn't find much of an audience if it didn't have like the availability through Game Pass. But I have no idea like how like financially it's sort of beneficial this kind of agreement is.
Yeah, and I think there was actually another article that was coming out that said they had recouped all the costs for the development team already. And I don't know if that includes, so they're Polish. No, this is from some Polish publication. Okay, so yeah, it made back its development costs and marketing costs after a week. So I'm curious if that's the Game Pass payout from Microsoft in addition to like its actual releases. But that game does interesting stuff, and I think there is a market of people who are into those survival horror, like atmospheric story things. I guess and there's not a lot going on right now. Like January is a good month for these like smaller titles that aren't like AAA bangers,
Yeah, like there are a lot of people who want to see more things in that space, and well, really, all people have in that space in this moment is like Resident Evil.
Yeah, and then some of those like PC first person stuff. Like I think like I wouldn't call it Tacoma being in there, but it does, because there are those like walking simulator like atmospheric games that do a lot too.
Sure, but I think like
I'm trying to think of the last one that came out.
there's enough like. Well, even then, I think like people like want a bit more like I don't need to say like more interactivity with stuff like that because I don't play a lot of like horror first person games in the vein of like an Amnesia. But like my understanding is a lot of those are just like hide from an invincible boy.
Yeah, there's some of that. I think a couple of the one that came out the most that seemed interesting is the one where you're going through the house of your relatives and stuff. But God, I cannot remember what it's called.
Edith Finch?
Yeah, Edith Finch.
Yeah, but that's not even horror.
No, but that one's very like I kind of lump that and like Medium in a similar place where it's like puzzly and an atmospheric like environment that you're walking around in. But that's just like my own brain categorizing things.
Sure. I think people want to be spooked.
That's true.
They're not getting their spooks, and like the thing that people are taking from Resident Evil Village right now is not that it's spooky. I mean, some people are, but some people are talking about Resident Evil Village as being pretty spooky. But like the thing everyone is focusing in on is not how scary that game is.
Yeah, it's I want the tall lady to step on me.
Yeah.
I sent you that meme image of the crow yelling 8-foot tall vampire GF, step on me, mommy. I was like, all right. God, that fucking encapsulates the internet right there.
Yeah.
Just as it turns out, you make hot video game characters and the internet gets horny. It's just a continuous cycle.
And now, all you need is just tall women, and you know what? That's fine.
Yeah. Speaking of tall women, they're making a Skull Island anime series Kong could be a tall woman or man, but I
I I would have
jokes aside, I'm really excited for like anime adaptations of Tomb Raider and Skull Island.
like see I would have led with the Tomb Raider. I would have into the Tomb Raider bit um for that connection.
It's true.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, like the amount of sort of game and like fringe properties like that Netflix wants to adapt here because we'd heard rumors of like the Skull Island adaptation a while ago. Uh, to get confirmation on that alongside a Tomb Raider like series is pretty interesting. Also to hear that like like this Tomb Raider series is connected to the trilogy like that Square just concluded with Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I wish I played those games more. I heard the second one is really fucking cool. But
I mean, yeah, they're fine.
let's see. The series is being written by Tasha Huo, who's working on the Witcher spinoff, The Witcher Blood Orange, which is that a animated Witcher thing or is that a
Blood
I'm guessing
Orange.
it's animated.
The Witcher Blood Orange. No, that's a.
Blood Origin. Oh, the people on this fucking website spelled it wrong.
Did they
It's
spell
Blood
it Blood
Origin, right?
Orange? That's great.
Yeah, they did. It was some Game Crate
I want that actually. I want that
article.
series. No, I'm pretty sure Blood Origins is a live action. They just cast their lead in that series being about a, if I'm not mistaken, uh, like the first Witcher or some such thing.
Hey man, I guess that season did really well. That they just are like, hey, we'll make we'll give you 2 seasons.
No, yeah, it did. Like that season did absolute numbers. It's wild. Um, like it's crazy to think about how successful The Witcher was as a sort of like series that it feels like a sort of modern day like dip into the like pool of Xena and shows like that.
Yeah, as it turns out, people like some fantasy TV show with
Yeah, people want some
I'm
fantasy camp.
yeah, some fantasy camp with lonely man hangs out with orphan. You know, the very popular subgenre
Yeah,
that has Batman and Kratos in it.
yeah. It turns out people just like sad dads, and man, I can't wait for people to meet the saddest form of Geralt dad in the second season.
Ah, it'll be so exciting. Who's that? Who's I'm trying to think of the other sad. Oh, Mandalorian. That's the other sad
Yeah, yeah.
dad.
Well, he's not sad. He's just single.
No, but he's totally. That's totally what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then EA announced the Skate 4 development team. They are called Full Circle. That they hadn't really talked about who was putting it together, so
Well, I mean, they just hadn't talked about Skate
should be
4
cool.
like ever.
And it looks like it's the lead in there is Daniel McCulloch, from general manager of Xbox Live, also producer on Forza and some of Microsoft's first party Kinect stuff. So hey, I'll be interested to see what's coming out of Skate 4. I didn't really play 2 or 3, but my friends were really into that. I remember having a good time. Some cool stuff.
The only thing around Skate 3 that I remember, I don't even know if it was Skate 3, but like there was on the Wii, there was a skateboard like peripheral um, that actually might have actually been Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Tony Hawk Ride.
Yeah, whatever. But I want to see Skate 4 use that.
That controller's weird.
I want to see that controller come back because we've already gotten our
Yeah.
motion, like our PlayStation motion controls came back. Um, all we need is that really weird board thing to come back, and then that will herald the return of the Kinect.
It's true. The Herald the Connect.
Yeah,
Hey, my dogs are causing a ruckus, so I'll be right back. But do you want to talk about Hitman 3 recouping its costs and being cool as shit?
sure. Just me.
Okay. You got this,
Yeah.
Austin. I'm handing this off to you.
Okay. Yeah. So like Hitman 3, sort of. I think this is one of like the first stories like of this type of stories that you've seen regarding this series of Hitman in particular, being that it has recouped its development costs, which is interesting. Because this is the first of like the Hitman trilogy that was not published by an external company. If I'm not mistaken, Hitman 1 was a Square. The Hitman 2016 was a Square Enix joint, which then led to them like did not do well seemingly, and led to them separating from IO Interactive and IO sort of taking the Hitman license with them. Hitman 2 was published with the assistance of WB Games, but Hitman 3 was, I should say, Warner Brothers Interactive. I think WB Games is like a different thing. But Hitman 3 is a self-published game and the first of the series. And while there is probably some sort of financial aid or financial assistance that came from the like Epic exclusivity deal on PC, it's neat to see that this game has like been successful after a week, because like the studios had a kind of a rough time with getting stuff like this published, and getting people to sort of get on board with this series, which is a just a fantastic sort of stealth action series, and definitely one of the best interpretations of like the Hitman IP that we've seen in a while, probably since like Blood Money or Hitman 2, I would argue. And it's good to see that like this trilogy is going to end on a like financially successful note for IO. So maybe they'll come back to this at some point, even though they have said that this is the conclusion of the World of Assassination trilogy, uh, as they like sort of begin work on James Bond and this game's DLC, which is spoken bit about in like a bit about with their sort of what they want to do with this game's DLC, which is not like as seemingly not as ambitious as like making whole new areas like they did for Hitman 2. But yeah, like, this is interesting. I still really want to. I haven't played this yet, and I still really want to, because this article has a gameplay video attached and it just seems wild. Absolutely wild to me. Um, yeah, like I'm glad that there is going to be a success story at the end of what has been a very, I don't want to say volatile, but like very seemingly stressful like cycle of development across this trilogy. Uh, Especially if you just consider this is, yeah, like again, like these are probably the best stealth games on the market in my eyes right now. Like they are wacky enough to where you can remove them from this sort of very serious atmosphere of like I don't know, Dishonored.
And you can play all three of them in the third game and in VR.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like Hitman 3 came with like such new features. Like the work that they've done to the engine in this third game seems pretty great. And the VR mode is going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, I watched Brad Shoemaker play Hitman's VR stuff on stream, and it's hilarious. You can just ragdoll people. Like, when you grab people with your hands, you can just move their bodies around and stuff. It's hilarious.
Yeah, like you can just the mode of interaction in VR is so different. It's like you can already grab like people, like you can grab people in whichever way like that they're facing you when you play just the main Hitman games, but like with VR, like just picking people up and probably tossing them around, because I imagine that there's no like accounting for weight.
Yeah, and there was a really good way to describe it was you can shake people like Homer was choking Bart in the early seasons of The Simpsons. Like
Yeah,
that kind of like wild ragdolling.
it seems wild. Uh,
Yeah. I'm gonna see if were Hitman 1 and 2 ever on PS Plus? Because I might see if I have those or
I
if they're on sale
don't
or something. Kind of want to play 2.
I don't know if one might have been. I think I'm actually pretty sure at some point one was, because I remember like buying the Hitman episodes very slowly, and then they removed them from like the PlayStation Marketplace as like an episodic release and just released one as a full deal. Um, so I
Here we go. Hitman: The Complete First Season, For Honor. We're in
Yeah,
February 2019, I guess.
yeah. So you might have Hitman 1. I don't think Hitman 2's ever been like PlayStation Plus.
No. Well, here's some other cool stuff that happened. They fucking EA was just like, yo, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is free on Epic Store right now, and apparently 19 million people downloaded it, which doesn't surprise me very much, but I think that's neat. That kind of gives a little life into that game, and some of those people are gonna buy some skins. Maybe I think that's like a smart business move. And that game's okay. Like it's missing some of the tuning that like Battlefront has, like what I will call like spawn tuning, or like just me getting destroyed by people. Like I don't know. I feel like I always have an edge up on people in like Battlefield, but in Battlefront I always seems to get murdered way too fast. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't like based on my experience with Battlefront, I would not say that those maps are particularly well designed arenas. Like they're very
Yeah, and that,
interesting looks into environments, and nice homages, but like I've never really liked the flow of the arenas within Battlefront 2.
no, some of the ones we were on ended up having like weird like what I'll call like mountains between certain areas that like limit like people in like certain corridors or like roads of like attacks where it's just like you don't really have any ways of like it's like head-on battles with nothing on the sides happening.
Yeah, like they revolve so highly around like choke points that are hard to flank. And even when you do flank them, I've never felt particularly like effective as anyone who's not like a hero. Actually, no, I've never felt particularly effective in Battlefront 2. And that could just be the fact I'm bad at the video game, and that's fine. But like even when I flank people, it doesn't do much.
Yeah, and I've never put the hours into that. It's fine. Whatever. The last thing we have on here, I almost skipped it, was the Knights of the Old Republic game is in development without EA and BioWare, apparently. Something you kind of pulled.
Yeah, yeah. This is a whole thing.
From the Bespin Bulletin podcast.
Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, the best one. Yeah, so the BOB podcast, which I think yeah is just like a stand-in for this Best Friend Bulletin, is a sort of a weird and interesting like little insider podcast into some gives you some insiders knowledge to some of like the going on in Star Wars and such. And the other thing to note here that like halfway through this IGN write-up on it that I'm looking at right now, the other thing to note is that like this was also sort of like the idea of this was also echoed by Jason Schreier, who like loves to do that little thing where like if he has insider knowledge that he can get away with like sharing little tidbits of on social media, he will. And he had also like sort of echoed the uh, rumors that this was being worked on by someone outside of EA and BioWare, which isn't particularly like surprising to me. EA's kind of been like getting BioWare to do like Anthem stuff for the better part of the last few years. So moving on to a different studio is expected. But the fact that this is without EA is I think the more interesting bit here.
Yeah, and I think there's I don't know. I could play a KOTOR game. I'm curious how close to the RPG roots they'll give it.
And that's where we get into
The big one.
some real territory, which is like, what does, because like Knights of the Old Republic is based off of like second edition D&D stuff, like rules and like mechanics. So like, what does this even look like now? Is this like, this definitely isn't going to be a D&D like 5e bit in Star Wars, I wouldn't think.
No, or something close to like what I'll say is like how Jade Empire. I don't know. Like the typical like BioWare like RPG. I think to meet like a broader audience, I think it's gonna turn into like closer to like a hack and slash.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise
with
me.
an RPG stuff in it.
Yeah, I could definitely, I could see that. But it's, the other thing here is, like, the wording is very precise, which is a Knights of the Old Republic game, not like a remake. So, I mean, this could probably still be a remake. It probably will be a remake, and that would be disappointing. Um, but what does a new KOTOR game look like? Like, what story does this want to tell? And does this still want to be about like Darth Revan?
I think it'll just be set in the same time, and then like, not really. Who knows? We'll see. we'll see.
Yeah. And now I just have questions, and I don't like having questions that don't have answers.
It's true, but as we've seen, who needs questions when you can go back and play the original game? But we'll get back into that when we come back for gameplay impressions. All right. Where can people find you out on Twitter?
On Twitter, you can find me at Travis2WL.
And I'm at Travis23Doyle on Twitter. Catch y'all later.